Welcome. This is all -1 quick shots. So, folks, once again, it is good to be back. It has been like 2 weeks since I've made content. I made a little video yesterday. I will be making a long form video later on today. But some things that were on my mind that came up just, Thursday or Friday after I had gotten back into town. And it was something as simple as this. Many of us know or acknowledge that there is a form of slavery going on in the world today. Debt slavery, if you would, that is all-consuming to folks. And of course, there is the mental slavery of being on the dole of the government. And some of us who are spiritually minded understand that we are enslaved by sin and death. The very fact that our bodies are in a mortal coil, a physical being, a material being, enslaves us to a certain nature. Right. This is the problem, by the way, with the leftist and what they're trying to say all the time. They deny this biological nature. They deny this materialism, yet they worship materialism as they think that that brings happiness. It does not. However, practically speaking, we are a material being who are trapped in this body. We are born into all of these things. We are born as debt slaves, being that we have a fiat monetary system. We are slaves to the governmental powers that be, in that we have very little influence over what they decide for our lives. I've covered this before. There was a study done, I believe, in Princeton several years ago. It was one of the last videos I just made. I mentioned it several times. So you can go back and find that if you would like. But the governments of the Western worlds do not care about the people. They follow what the NGOs say. They follow what the corporations say, the bankers, and all of those things. The folks of influence. So why do I bring this up? What is the point? Bill, you've ranted for 2 minutes about slavery and how we're in slavery. Well, the reality is that you are only enslaved if you choose to be. On the spiritual path, you have Christ, and Christ will free you from that slavery. That is literally everything that the Bible talks about in the New Testament. It is the good news, the gospel, that you can enter into the family of God, our Father, the architect and creator of the universe. You see, when the fall happened, folks fell into the slavery under the serpent, Satan, the evil one, the accuser. It's the tale of two kingdoms, a very old message that few churches teach today. You either worship God, the kingdom of God, or you worship the kingdom of Satan. Those are the only choices. Why is that? Because God gave power over the earth to Satan. He is the king of this earth. So, again, why do I bring up all this slavery stuff? Well, it's kind of as simple as this. Most of us don't realize that we're enslaved, but once we do, we don't know how to live in freedom. And that's important. Because even within the world and within all this whole system that we live in and all of the chaos and all the craziness and all of the things that are out of our own power and control, we do have control over ourselves, our emotions, how we decide to react to things, and how we treat people. And we have control over who we wish to serve. Now, the difference between Satan's kingdom and Satan's slavery is something like this. You have no choice over it. You will die. You will commit horrible deeds and acts of selfishness out of sin. You will screw over the other guy, if you would, for your own self-gain. And many people follow that path their entire lives. On the other hand, you have Christ. Christ knows that you are a servant, but says he would lay his life down for you and be your friend. Go read the Gospel of John, folks. Go read John 15 and abiding in the vine of Christ, and how that there is no greater service but than to die for a friend. Christ would not only just die for us, but he would take up many of our burdens. And all he asks is our obedience, and he's not a taskmaster. If we do decide not to obey him, then in the end, we get our just rewards. And if we decide to obey him, then in the end, we get our just rewards. But you see, we can get those, whatever those rewards may be now in this life, by taking the easy route and just going along with the path. But if you are born into slavery, sometimes you don't know better. And once you realize that you're free, you have to unlearn that slave mindset. And so I bring this up as a very important topic that I will continue to talk about this week. And I'm going to expound on this because it is very relevant and in the matters of neuropsychology, trauma, the ideas of having learned dependence. Many of you have probably heard that before. And it is how the folks who are the elitists, those who really control the world, those who dictate things, those who make the laws, it is how they keep you enslaved by keeping you within the system. Those of you out there who would proclaim Christ and believe that you are in some sort of freedom, yet buy into the system. I'm not talking about living in the world, folks. We must live in the world as it is set up. But buying into the system itself and being a part of the system and propping the system up. I can tell you, Christ never knew you. Or if he has known you, you have not bore fruit yet. And you are like the fig tree, which needs fertilized, or eventually you will be dug up and uprooted. And I don't say this to chide any of you. You must look into your own souls and judge yourselves. But what I am trying to explain to you is that many of you don't know. You think that you just said, oh, now I'm a Christian. Oh, I go to church. Oh, I might do this. I might do that. But you don't self-examine. You don't grow and you don't dig deeper. And you allow yourselves to remain slaves. Christ said that there would be some servants who would beat the other servants while the master was away, and that he would return and find them beating them, and they would not get the same reward as the good servant. Meaning there are folks who believe that they are Christians, who say they're in the kingdom, but they do not do what the master asks. We also must realize that sometimes, just sometimes, some of us do bad things for a while, and we turn back around, and God forgives us. Our Father is a forgiving God. So we have to understand all these things. But again, I will continue to expound on these things. For this, I want to leave you off with this last point. Paul talks about in the book of Romans that the law was a tutor. That is the Jewish law he's talking about. In all of his epistles, he's talking about the Jewish law. He's not talking about legalism or versus antinomianism versus faith and faith alone and all these different things. He's talking very specifically about the Jewish law, and that there were certain tenets that you had to follow in the Jewish law, and then it was a tutor to guide you. The importance of this is that if you do not know that something is wrong, like Adam and Eve in the garden, they had no knowledge of evil until they did something wrong, because it was the only thing that they were forbidden to do. If you have no knowledge of evil or wrong, then you are innocent. But we aren't innocent, folks. We are born into a world where we are taught right and wrong. We know. And that is where we are judged at. So the law is a tutor to educate us what is right and wrong. Keep that in mind. Because when Paul talks about the law, that is what he is talking about. He's not saying that we do not need to be godly or holy, or that we do not need to follow Christ in a Christ-like manner as much as possible. No. He's saying that we need to understand that the law could only inform us of our evil. But now we must grow. And he says, so do I then turn around and sin to let grace abound? And he says, no, of course not. Because before you were a slave to sin and death, and now you should be a slave to righteousness. And I'm going to leave it there, folks. That's about all I have to say. Hey guys, I will be releasing a video a little bit later on today. I'm setting up an Instagram for these quick shots. It'll just be quick shots, but it'll be on there if you guys want to go follow. It'll just be all minus one word. I've actually had the page for a while. I just haven't done anything with it. We will be having our live show tomorrow, Wednesday, February 17th, with our friend Don of Plebeian Media. It will be our first live show in over 2 weeks. So go join us there, 7 p.m. Wednesday. And we will have another live show on the 20th, that is Saturday, at 3 p.m. with Radically Moderate, who's a small YouTuber that I happen to follow that... I seem to like what he presents, which is mostly news content, but just wanted to catch some of his opinions. So we'll have him on Saturday. And hey, guys, with all that, this has been All Minus One Quick Shots. And God bless, and I wish you all well.